Hello, my name is Henk Eshuis and I'm an associate professor in the Department of Chemistry and Biochemistry. And as part of the chemistry curriculum, we do a lot of laboratory-based courses. So I'm heavily involved in that too. At the undergraduate level, in the first year for freshmen, I teach the general chemistry courses which involve a lab component. And I'm also involved in the junior level experimental physical chemistry courses. So because I'm heavily involved in these running and teaching these lab-based courses, I'd like to share some aspects of what I think makes a good learning lab environment. So first of all, lab is not an island. So each lab course doesn't exist just on its own in a vacuum. It's really an integral part of the whole curriculum. So if you teach a laboratory-based course, you really need to think about how it fits in all the courses that are being taught within the department. So it's really important to work together as a team of faculty to make sure that the curriculum is consistent, so that the lab-based course that you're teaching fits into the bigger whole of the curriculum and builds on what came before and prepares the student for what comes next. So for example, at the general chemistry level, we really lay the foundation on which we build in the subsequent years, so you get a progression starting all the way from the freshman year towards the senior year. And that's a very important first aspect that I want to highlight. And that ties into the integration between the material that you teach in the lecture course and the experiments that you run in a lab-based course. There should be a connection. That should be integrated or aligned, so that students, when they do the experiment, can make those connections between what they see in the classroom and what they see in the lab. And the only way you can achieve that is by working together with colleagues and as a team do this. So this is really very much a team effort, which I really greatly enjoy. So you're not on your own, you really can work together to make this a good experience. A very common pitfall in designing a lab is that you just want to do too much. You're trying to take on too many things, you want to achieve too many goals. So important to, I think, pick your battles carefully and focus on the goals that you want to achieve. For the students that enter these courses are freshmen, and they may not have any lab experience in chemistry, or maybe not at all. Their high school may not have had these facilities, so they come in and they don't have much experience or none at all. So we really have to emphasize the basics, and that's what we do. So we really focus on getting the basics right. So that starts out, of course, with safety. How do you behave properly and appropriately in a chemical laboratory? So that's an important thing that we strive to really get right straight away. And then in addition, we focus on lab techniques, basic handling of glassware. How do you deal with this burette? How do you deal with this piece of glassware? How do you read a graduated cylinder? And that ties into manual dexterity, using your fingers. And this sometimes even goes to the level of just learning how to strike a match, to light a Bunsen burner. It's really good fun to do and great to be in the lab and students learn these skills. In addition to that, we focus on scientific bookkeeping. So instead of having students write massive written reports that take a lot of time, we scale it down and we just focus on them keeping a good record of the data that they collect. So they write it in their notebook, they use it for their data analysis, but that's the extent to which we do any kind of writing. When they progress through the curriculum, we build on that. So in the second year and certainly in the third year, when they end up in my other course, the experimental physical chemistry course, they now use these skills and do much more extensive writing. Just the final thing about that is that we also wrap up the lab within the lab period. So the student is done by the end of the lab period. All the work is done, don't have to take anything home. Now, the labs are clearly a learning environment. And to create a good learning environment, I think there are two aspects. There are more, but I want to highlight two that are really crucial. And the first of them is that students need to take ownership of the lab experience. It's their learning, they need to own it. And for them to own it, there have to be very clear expectations. So we really try on day one very clearly convey to the students what are the expectations for this lab-based course. So on day one, we really try to establish that very clearly. You have to come prepared. We expect our students to come in, to be prepared, ready to go. Tied into that, the second aspect that's also just equally important is the role of the instructor. If I'm in the lab, I play a crucial role in guiding the students and helping them and training them. So when I'm in the lab and the students are working, I walk around, I kind of peer over their shoulders, I look at their work, I look at their technique. If there's an issue, I will intervene and I will demonstrate how it is done.
Oh, okay, thank you.
And they will try it again. So this is, I think, the beautiful dynamic that you can have in a lab setting where you have this instant feedback and the student can learn from that and then immediately kind of get an improved result. And as a bonus outcome, you really build a strong connection with the student and create a great sense of community. And so students really enjoy and like it when you're invested in the lab because they get to know you, they know that you care, they know that you want them to do well. And that's just highly appreciated. So that's a really nice extra outcome in a lab. And that's why I just love teaching labs. So to summarize, you have to have consistency. You can't have one section different from another. So consistency across sections and consistency within the curriculum. You want to have integration between lecture and lab material. You also want to have a limited set of goals that you can achieve. Don't try too much, kind of focus on those couple of crucial aspects that you can achieve. It's also really important that the students take ownership. So there need to be clear expectations for what the students are responsible for. And then finally, but certainly not least, the instructor just plays a vital role in creating that learning environment by being present and engaged and just helping the students along. And I think if you have those things in place, you're going to have a good learning environment within a lab setting. I hope you have fun in the lab. Thank you.